Welcome to Never Again Is Now, a podcast about anti-Semitism. I am Evelyn Marcus, and my co-host Phyllis Zimler-Miller is temporarily stepping back from this podcast to focus on a book project, but she will be back soon on the show. The city of Beverly Hills has emerged as a national leader, maybe even as an international model for how a city can respond to anti-Semitism, not only with symbolic gestures, but with sustained leadership and action. Today, I have the honor to talk with the person who is leading this beautiful city with fervor, the mayor of Beverly Hills, Mayor Sharona Nazarian. Mayor, welcome to our show, and thank you so much for coming on. I'm on.
Thank, thank you. It's my honor to be with you. I appreciate the invitation and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So, before I ask you about the city's response to anti-Semitism, I have a more personal question for you. Can you share something about your personal connection to the phenomenon of anti-Semitism?
So I'm an immigrant to the United States. I had to leave my country of origin due to religious persecution. And when I came to this great nation, no one was there to be my voice. And so I know firsthand what it's like to be exiled from a country or experience that type of persecution. And we've always tried to be a leader in the city of Beverly Hills to stand up against hate, discrimination, and anti-Semitism.
Right. So I understand. So what makes anti-Semitism so important for the city of Beverly Hills?
I think that we've just been leaders always in all forms of hate and discrimination. Beverly Hills has always tried to stand up, and we have a primarily Jewish community, and we feel that it's important to be a voice for our community.
Yes. Um, And so there is a war going on right now between Israel and Iran. How is your community, your Jewish community, and especially since a lot of them come from Iran, how are they responding in these days of war?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of anxiety. People are concerned
Mhm.
and they're hopeful. They're
Mhm.
praying for peace.
Yeah. I can imagine there's a lot of anxiety. So could you tell us about the campaign against anti-Semitism that you recently launched in Beverly Hills?
Yeah, so I think that we need to be a voice. It's important to stand up against all forms of hate, discrimination, and anti-Semitism right now. And so, as part of that, I started a campaign, which is similar to the title of your podcast, which is called Never Again Is Now. That was before I even knew your podcast existed. I think that it's really important. We always had the campaign Never Again, but Never Again is right now with everything that we're experiencing. And so we recently launched that as part of my one of my mayoral initiatives. I have 14, many around safety and security and protecting our quality of life and sustainability in a lot of different areas. But this is one of them. And the most recent event that we just had was the Jewish experience, the diversity of the Jewish experience. And we had a panel because we wanted to illustrate that Jews come in all different colors and different backgrounds. And wherever we came from, we were all being marginalized at the same time after what happened on October 7th, which was really fascinating.
Mhm.
And so that was a discussion that we've been having. And yes, so.
And what was the reason you changed it from Never Again to Never Again Is Now? The name of the, let's say, the series of activities that the city is organizing.
Yeah, so I've always said never again is now in a lot of the speeches that I gave. And I felt that if what's happening to our Jewish community, for us as elected representatives, our number one job is to keep our community safe. And people were contemplating taking down their mezuzahs or taking off their Stars of David. And so for me, I felt like this is how it all starts. It starts little by little and it starts with fear. And so we need to lead with courage and strength.
Yes.
And so we've tried to be a voice for our community. When I came here as a little girl, no one was there to be my voice. And so I pride myself on wanting to support our community and the fears that they have. Many people have spoken about, is it time for us to leave? What should we do? These are people who left their country of origin due to religious persecution, as I mentioned. And so we want to be able to be a voice for our community. As elected representatives, we represent those who elected us.
Yes. Yes. So you saw people taking down their Jewish symbols even in Beverly Hills, and you thought,
They contemplated, they didn't necessarily take it down
okay, okay,
because they saw clearly that we stand with them and we lead with moral clarity.
yes, and I so much appreciate that mayor coming from a country in the city where Jews are right now actually really taking down the Jewish symbols, their mezuzahs and their Stars of David. I'm originally from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam, and a lot of Jews don't dare to show their Jewish symbols anymore. But I haven't um, seen the mayor there launch a campaign called Never Again Is Now. I so much appreciate that Beverly Hills is doing that at a moment when Jews are only contemplating to take down their Jewish symbols. And I think that's amazing.
Yes, our city has always been a strong ally and a supporter, and we've passed resolutions and we've always tried to be a strong voice.
Yes. Could you tell us a little bit more about other things that the city of Beverly Hills did before you launched your campaign?
Yes, so I could tell you once October 7th happened, we saw one of the most devastating massacres against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And so many in our community were directly impacted by it, whether they had family members who were taken hostage or family members who were on the front lines or murdered during their time in Israel. And so we felt that it was important to be a voice. We had hostage forums where the families tried to really humanize this experience and what is happening to a lot of the hostages, many of which were American citizens, and nobody was speaking about that.
Right.
So we would try to speak about it. I would speak about it from the dais just to bring awareness that there are actual American hostages being held in a foreign land, and we need to do something about it as a country. We after October 7th, in conjunction with the Consul General, we put out 1,200 flags from 30 different nationalities, one flag for each precious life lost on October 7th. And that was to symbolize how it had a global impact. It wasn't just Jews or Israelis that were murdered. These were kids who were at a concert. It's much like the kids who may go to Coachella and for such a tragedy to occur right there in our own backyard. And so we felt again that it was important to be a voice and to speak out. We put out like a Shabbat table with empty chairs there, symbolizing the chairs of all the hostages that were not going to be home on Shabbat, and many other things that our city has done. But I don't want to take up too much of your time with that.
No, no, please, please, please tell us because it's inspiring for other cities and hopefully our listeners can tell their own cities wherever it is in the world to take an example, in
Yeah.
Beverly Hills. So please, no, please go on.
Yeah, I mean, on February 21st, 2023, we adopted a legislative platform with 4 new statements regarding the Holocaust, anti-Semitism, hate, and extremism. and recognize culturally significant holidays, including Rosh Hashanah in our city. That's something a lot of cities don't generally do. Um, we adopted a resolution calling for the United Nations to disband the International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territories, including East Jerusalem and Israel, due to the bias of the Commission against Israel. Um, we're sister cities with Herzliya,
Mhm.
which is interesting, and Cannes, which that's something that we did, I believe, 8 years ago. So
Mhm.
our city has had a strong alliances and strong ties for many years now.
And do you know whether the things Beverly Hills did in the past against anti-Semitism had a certain effect elsewhere in America or elsewhere in the world?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that. I hope, at the end of the day, we hope that we positively impact one another for positive change. We recently hosted the Combat Anti-Semitism Mayor's Conference in Beverly Hills.
Uh-huh.
And that was amazing. We had over 200 mayors from across the nation and Canada come to Beverly Hills for this summit, and it was truly remarkable. And we were,
What was discussed there?
well, you just mentioned something. What are things that cities are doing? We discuss things that we're doing. We to discuss what is happening, and a lot of communities don't feel empowered to be a voice, even if they are aligned with what's happening, and to really stand up for their community and their Jewish community. And it doesn't have to be that you have to be Jewish to support your Jewish residents or neighbors or friends. It's just being there for one another, just like we support our LGBTQ plus community, just like we have always tried to be a voice whenever we've seen hate or discrimination against other marginalized groups.
Are there barriers for mayors to do what Beverly Hills does?
I think that we serve at the will of the people, but sometimes we need to lead with strength. And
Mhm.
so if a small, um, loud minority perhaps speaks out, it could be challenging, but that's when true leadership comes out to be a voice and to stand up and to speak out.
Yes, yes, I agree with you very much there. So um, Beverly Hills is, I think, also planning to open a special monument this year.
Yes,
Is that correct? Could you tell us about that?
yes. So we launched an RFP
What is
for
that? What is
the,
that?
we launched a request uh, from the community for assistance in creating a permanent October 7th memorial site where we will launch in Beverly Hills. We'll have the groundbreaking in October. And we're very excited about that to be able to have a space that's going to be across from our September 11th monument. And it's going to be a space where the community can reflect and come together.
So Beverly Hills will have an October 7 monument across from its 9/11 monument. That's amazing, I think. Do you know of any other cities in the world who are planning to do that?
Not that I know of.
So Beverly Hills is truly the first to do so. I think
We're used to being leaders.
that's really amazing, really amazing. I hope that will get a lot of attention. Um, so every city has its own specific situation and circumstances and needs its specific response to anti-Semitism. But is there any advice you have for cities in general, or maybe specifically for cities where we recently saw severe anti-Semitism, like Boulder, Washington, D.C., Paris, and Amsterdam? Do you have any advice?
Advice. Just lead with strength, lead with courage, and lead with your heart.
Mhm. I think that's beautiful, and I think it's powerful and often forgotten, I think, or not. There's not enough courage to do so, but um, it's also for this reason why I feel so fortunate to have you in the show, because your city and you yourself are really examples of and leading examples of doing so.
Thank
Um,
you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Be
All
well.
right.
All right. Thanks.